AM Minnesota today, it is going to be a very interesting topic. I know January is Radon Action Month, but you know, it's early in February, so pretend we're in January, I guess. We're going to talk about radon today, radon gas. Very, very important topic, especially here in Minnesota, because a lot of people are affected by it. We are indeed honored to have in studio today from the Environmental Health Department, Minnesota Department of Health, Indoor Air Unit Supervisor Dan Tranter. He's been on our show numerous times before, many years ago, by a telephone, but we've never had him in studio, and we want to thank Sara Coulter because she arranged for that. She has such pull, such incredible magnetic pull. You were able to get Dan on the show, Sara. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Gordy.
Yeah, that was very good the way you arranged
The way I
that.
made that phone call?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we've had Dan on the show before. Never thought about having you in studio.
My pleasure.
Yeah, certainly appreciate it. So first of all, Dan, let's get a little of your background. How long have you been at the Department of Health, and why would anybody be interested in indoor health?
I appreciate you covering this topic. Indoor environments is a very important topic. We spend so much time indoors, especially in the winter, and there can be a variety of possible pollutants that we're exposed to. I've been at the health department now for about 15 years and in the indoor air unit. We do a lot of research and outreach and education around indoor pollutants. And radon is an especially important indoor air pollutant, as you mentioned. In our area, we have a lot of radon. A lot of homes have high levels of radon, so we want everyone to test their homes.
I have not seen a lot of new information, though, in 15 years. Has there been a lot of new information come out? Seems like the same information that I saw 10, 15 years ago.
There is ongoing research. There's more research. Every year there are new studies that are coming out that are confirming the health risks. These are called epidemiological studies, where researchers look at people living in homes with high radon, comparing them to people in homes with low radon, and they're finding that they are at increased risk of lung cancer. They're more likely to develop lung cancer. So the research is ongoing and confirming and strengthening what we've known now for, like you say, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Before that, nobody knew about this?
Awareness is rising. Awareness has been rising for several decades. Initially, this study several decades ago were done in miners. And miners exposed to very high levels, they extrapolated down to lower levels. So there was some question and some skepticism about whether that's appropriate to take those high exposures and extrapolate down to low exposures to what people are experiencing in homes. The last few decades across the U.S. and other countries, as near as Iowa, there have been many studies done now looking at lower levels of exposure, what people are exposed to on a day-to-day basis in their homes, and those studies have confirmed what was initially thought from the minor studies.
Yeah, we're going to get more details about exactly what radon is, what causes radon. It's in virtually every type of soil, I believe, but we'll find out more about that from Dan. Sara, we are on a hotbed here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually brought in with me some of the results from the most recent test reads that have come in, and there are 8 of them, eight test results, and only only one of them is below the action level. And all the other ones are high.
Well,
so that's from our most recent batch of tests that went in.
Now, I don't expect you to give me specific addresses, but are these all in Faribault, or are they all over the
You know, I don't
county?
have specific addresses. I just have people's zip codes, so I couldn't even tell you. We're not tracking it at that close of a level.
Well, how do y'all like that? Anyway, we're going to get a market update courtesy of your KDHL Agri Boosters, and Dan and Sara will continue to educate us about radon. As I mentioned before, January is Radon Action Month, but we're still in winter, and that's the primary time to be concerned about this. In studio today, Sara Coulter. She's from Rice County Public Health Nursing Service. She's a clinic and community supervisor and environmental health supervisor, Indoor Air Unit, Minnesota Department of Health. Dan Tranter is with us today on our AM Minnesota show. Again, Dan, thanks for making the 50-mile trek down here to Faribault.
Thank you. It's an important issue, radon, and glad to be here to talk about it.
I sure do appreciate it. And of course, Sara has a very good way of talking you into coming down here, didn't she? She baked you banana bread or something?
Anytime Sara wants me to come down here to talk about radon, I'm happy to do it.
This is near and dear to your heart, isn't it, Dan? I can tell you have a little bit of a passion for this.
I do. I've been working in indoor air and radon for about 15 years, and in my opinion, it's the most underappreciated public health issue. It's such a big carcinogen. It's the second leading cause of lung cancer. The US EPA estimates over 21,000 lung cancer deaths occur every year in the United States due to radon exposure. So it is a very significant carcinogen. Minnesota has some of the highest radon levels in the country, especially in southern Minnesota. In this region, we see a lot of high levels of radon. So it's very important that people test their homes, that they learn about radon. If they have a problem, they can fix it. It's fairly straightforward to fix radon problems.
Yeah. Sarah, you have kits to give away, right?
Yep, we've got free kits available. Just come on to either the Northfield Satellite County office, that's located on the second floor of Northfield City Hall, or you can come into our public health office here in Faribault, and that's 320 3rd Street Northwest, 3rd Avenue.
These are free, absolutely free. Best four-letter word in the English language other than love, free.
Yes,
Free
they are
radon
free.
test kits. And these are approved, I would assume, by the Department of Health?
Yep, we actually received these test kits from the Department of Health.
Yeah, we gave away a number of them last year, didn't we?
My goodness, Gordy, before I even got back to my office, the staff were saying to me, "What did you just do?" Because we had so many people coming in, so thank you for the promotion.
Well, that's cool, and let's hope we get the same result this year. How often should I test, Dan? If I did it last year, should I do it this year?
We recommend testing about every 5 years if you've tested and you didn't have a problem. If you had a problem and you fixed your house, you should test about every 2 years. So more frequently if you put in a radon system to reduce the levels. Also, if there are changes to the foundation or to the heating and cooling equipment in the house that might affect how radon comes in from the soil, then you should test at that time.
Also, if I got a new furnace or a new air conditioning unit, I should test again.
Yeah, don't wait the full 5 years, just test at that time to make sure that that hasn't changed how radon enters the home.
These people are bringing their results back, and you're finding the same results you just shared with us earlier?
Actually, I get a report back from the company that reads the results, and I can't tell whose home it is, but
Sure.
I get kind of a generalized report of the kind of our average results in Rice County.
It's unfortunate that you don't get the homes, because it would be nice to follow up to see if they do any, mitigation.
And if there's a grad student listening to this broadcast, there may be some potential to do something like that.
Oh, okay. Which wouldn't that be interesting to know, Dan? I mean, you can give out test kits galore, and if the results are high, you hope they do something about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And in some areas of the state, there is follow-up and some research that's done to see if people actually fix their homes. We obviously want people to learn about it, test their home. If it's high, fix the home.
Is it costly to mitigate it?
It's a good question. Sometimes people can do some things on their home, but we typically recommend you hire a certified radon mitigation professional.
Sounds expensive.
Well, it depends on the type of work that needs to be done. It could be between $1,000 to $2,500 to fix the home, but I think it's well worth it considering the health risks associated with radon. It is a very significant carcinogen, and unfortunately with lung cancer, at this time, once it's diagnosed, the treatment options are limited, unlike other forms of cancer. So many people do pass away within a few years of being diagnosed. So it's especially important that we prevent lung cancer from occurring in the first place. Of course, smoking is still the #1 cause of lung cancer, and we want people to quit smoking. But after that, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. We want people to identify it and reduce their exposure.
I did get ahead of myself here. Somebody wants to know, because I promised we would touch on that, didn't I, in the first segment? What is radon?
Yeah, we did get ahead of ourselves. So radon is a soil gas. It's naturally found in the soil. We have uranium in our soil. That uranium breaks down and eventually becomes radon. Now, radon is a gas at standard temperature and pressure. So radon floats around in the soil, and it comes up to the surface of the soil, and it gets drawn into our homes. Our homes pull air from the soil. We have gaps and cracks and openings in our foundations. And our homes are constantly pulling air in. So the radon gets into our homes, and it can build up, and it can accumulate to high levels that increase our risk over many years of developing lung cancer. When you breathe radon, it releases what are called alpha particles. They're like subatomic, what I call cannonballs. They wreak a lot of havoc in your lungs. They can kill lung cells, which can lead to DNA mutation and other things that lead to the development of tumors, and those tumors can eventually lead to cancer.
Wow. So this is in all soils, right?
It's found in all soils, yes, to a greater or lesser extent.
Do we find a correlation with good farming soil like we have here in southern Minnesota?
There is an overlap certainly with our soil in southern Minnesota and western Minnesota, with a little bit higher levels of radon compared to other parts of the country.
Do we know why that is?
Well, probably has to do with the glaciers that were here many thousands of years ago, and some deposition that occurred at that time.
Isn't that interesting, Sarah?
That is interesting.
Still affecting us, the Ice Age.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago was that again?
I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to hit the books.
That's okay. Long time ago, though. Long time ago, and it's still affecting us. Do you know, percentage-wise, Sarah, how many homes have been tested in Bryce County?
I do not.
Anything like that?
I do not. I do know that over our last annual report, which we're just now compiling, I had about 471, I want to guess, tests that went out throughout the county. Last year I had around 350, so we did increase our testing in the county, but I do not know what percentage of homes in the county have been tested.
It is required before you sell a home, isn't it, to have it tested?
Actually, it is not. There is a requirement
It's not?
No, it is not required to test a home before you sell it.
Okay, but if you're looking to, I don't mean to interrupt you, Dan, but if I'm looking to purchase a home, I can request that, right?
Absolutely. You can request it, and you can call that a quote-unquote requirement of the transaction, but under state law, there's no requirement that the seller test or that the buyer test. What is required under state law is that the seller disclose any history of radon testing or mitigation and provide a warning statement and a 2-page publication. This is educating a lot of home buyers now about radon, raising their level of awareness. And at that point, the buyer could say, during the home inspection, I want a test done. They could request that and hire a certified radon measurement professional, and some of our home inspectors are certified to test for radon. They could come in and do the test, and from there it could be negotiated if there is a high level.
And the buyer pays for the test?
That again is negotiated. Typically I would say yes, the buyer pays for the home inspection, so they would typically pay for the test too.
It was something that you, I'm guessing it's something that you would recommend.
Absolutely. We want everyone to test a home that they're looking at buying, and it doesn't need to be a major cause for concern. If you find an elevated radon level, you can fix the house. You can negotiate with the seller how you want to arrange that to be done.
Now, I know there's the old big brother thing that people think about here, but in your opinion, Dan, should everybody be required to mitigate if they have a high level?
Well, that's a good question.
That home's going to be, you know, even if they die, it's going to go to somebody else sometime down the road.
I'd have to think about that. I think everyone should test and everyone should fix their homes. I'm not sure I'd want to go to the extent of requiring someone to fix a home because there is a cost associated with
Right.
it.
Okay. Just keep in mind your family lives there too.
Absolutely. This is about yourself. This is about your family. This is about future residents who are going to live at that property. So it really does make a difference in reducing your risk of lung cancer.
So Sarah, if I want a free test kit, how do I go about getting one of those?
Just come on over to our offices. We're located in the Government Services Building here in Faribault. That's 320 3rd Avenue, Northwest. And then you could also, if you live up in the Northfield, Lonsdale area, you could go to the Northfield City Hall, 2nd floor.
Do you find more people testing in certain areas of the county, or is it pretty uniform?
You know, we get a lot more tests done in the southern part of the county. I'm not sure of the reason for that, but we definitely have a higher volume coming in. Maybe it's, well, we have them up in Northfield, so I'm not sure. I thought maybe it would be convenience, but they are available up in Northfield, and the woman that's passing them out up there, she's very willing to do that. So please head on over to Northfield City Hall, 2nd floor, and you can get a free test kit from us.
And again, these are absolutely free, and they're pretty easy to use.
Yes. Yep.
They are very easy to use, the radon kits. You open them up, you place them in the lowest lived-in part of your home.
Sarah even brought one with her.
I did.
Isn't she so?
I realize this is radio, but I did bring one with me.
You can show them to the camera there. We're going to be on YouTube here. Why not? There you go. Oh, that's it. That's the radon test
You
kit.
set them out. After a few days, you pick it up, take out the sponge, toss the sponge. The sponge just keeps the mouth of the kit open. Seal it up. It's also a self-addressed envelope, so it goes to the lab, and then they get you your results after maybe a week or two.
And I have on my report here some of the results that came back and were unable to be tested, so I just want to caution people to make sure they read the instructions on the kit.
Okay.
The kit instructions are fairly clear, but if you leave the plug in, it's going to overexpose the chemical or whatever it is that's inside of the kit. So just be careful about how you are completing the test and that you're following the guidelines.
Yeah.
Get it in the mail right away. Make sure it's fully sealed. Make sure you've answered all the questions on the back side of the test kit.
And there aren't a lot.
No.
It's pretty simple.
Basically start date and time, end date and time, name, address.
Yep, pretty simple stuff. Is this the best kind of kit there is, Dan?
It is a very good kit. If you want to know how levels vary between months or seasons, you can do what's called a long-term kit. Those go for 3 to 12 months. So we do advise people, after they do one of these short kits for a few days, to follow up with another kit to confirm the initial results if they seem to be high. That could be done with another short kit, or it could be done with a long-term kit, which goes for, like I say, 3 to 12 months. In real estate transactions, we recommend hiring a certified radon measurement professional. This individual will bring what's called a continuous radon monitor. It's a different type of technology. It gives results more quickly, and it can also detect any changes to the environment or movement in the device. So it has some additional features that provide reliability and confidence that these kits don't. But for the do-it-yourself, if you're in your own home, the activated charcoal kits that the county is giving out is a very good option.
Earlier I said our homes are much tighter now than they used to be. Was I accurate in that in terms of this is why it's a problem too, or was I?
Well, homes are tighter. They are insulated and sealed more tightly, but we actually haven't seen a big difference in radon levels by decade of home construction. Older homes, of course, are draftier. That could mean more soil gases coming in from the ground, which causes radon to go up. Newer homes are tighter, and depending on how tight and where it's insulated and sealed, that could mean it's not getting out of the house. So we haven't seen a big difference between new homes and old homes, and we want every type of home to be tested.
So how do they solve this problem when they mitigate it? Because it's constantly in the soil, right?
Correct. The way it's fixed is called a radon mitigation system, and that reduces the radon levels in the home. The professional will install a PVC pipe that's about 3 to 5 inches wide, starting underneath the foundation. That pipe is routed up through the house or up the side of the house. A fan is placed in line. That fan runs continuously and vents the soil gases to the exterior. So
through the pipe.
Yeah, so the radon is going to take the path of least resistance. It's going to go up this pipe and go to the outside rather than come up through the cracks and gaps and openings in your foundation.
Why don't we just put that in all our new homes?
Very good question. Actually, newest construction built since mid-2009 is required to have the piping, but it is not required to have the fan. So building code does require what's called a passive system. So this does work to some degree, and the radon levels are lower in these newest homes built in the last 6 years. So what we've seen in our research is that these newest homes, about 20% of them have elevated radon statewide, compared to about 40% for the general housing stock. So it does tend to cut the levels in about half in most cases, but still there's a 1 in 5 chance of these newest homes having a problem. So we do recommend these homes be tested, or better yet, have the fan installed during construction. We call that an active system. And there are builders around the state, over 100 of them now, that will offer the fan and install it to people that are buying new construction homes.
Well, I can't imagine it would add that much to the cost of a home.
Not really. The fan is $100 to $200. There may be some additional labor costs, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the cost of a new construction home, it's insignificant.
Yeah, I'm sure the reason why it hasn't been part of code now is because the same reason why we don't have sprinklers required.
Yeah, I wasn't part of those code discussions,
I know.
but
It seems to make sense to me that if we can mitigate it from the outset, we don't have to worry about it as much. You just said you still have some problem. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
we certainly want people to put fans in. It's a good idea. It's recommended. If you have a fan installed in a new build, the likelihood of radon being elevated over the action level is virtually nil. I mean,
Yeah.
99% of the time you're going to be below the action level in a new construction with a fan installed.
And Dan Tranter traveled here from the Twin Cities. He's with the Minnesota Department of Health. Sara Coulter is with Rice County Public Health Nursing Service. And if you like a free radon test kit, you heard me right, free, best four-letter word other than love in the English language, free radon test kit. All they got to do is call your office, right, Sarah?
Come on by. Yep, stop into our office. We do ask people to fill out a short form that states like when you plan to test, the year of your home, and you'll be on your way.
And you just explain how this works, if you would, please, Sarah.
Well, we distribute these free test kits. They're we've got the short-term and long-term right now in-house, so whichever one you need, we recommend that people start with the short-term. You're going to fill out this form. You're going to go home. You're going to open up the test, fill out the instructions. Fill out the instructions before you open the test because it's easier to write on then. You're going to put this plug into the test kit. After the testing time period, you'll remove the plug. You'll seal up the test kit. The kit is already postage paid, and you're going to be mailing it in. You will receive your results at your home. We do not receive your specific results at the county. You will get your own results in the mail, and then be able to follow up action either with a second kit in our office, or you could get a long-term kit from our office as well.
And again, Sarah mentioned earlier that she does not get information specific to the home.
Correct.
About what the test result was.
Correct. I get a zip code and then the actual number, the picocuries per liter of your results. Yeah.
So if you're worried about that, there's nothing to worry about.
Yep.
I mean, this is
your
information.
Yep.
So where do I put this kit, this radon test?
We recommend the lowest lived-in part of the home.
Okay, because I don't. What do you mean by lived in? Because I don't live in my basement. I go there from time to time, but I don't live there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We define lowest lived in as where you spend 10 hours a week on average.
A week?
Yeah, so if you have a family room or bedroom or TV room in the basement, you're down there 1 or 2 hours a day, then test the basement. If you only go down to the basement for storage and laundry, don't test the basement.
I read on your website, I did a little research here before we did the show. You know, it's hard to believe because I usually wing this program, but I did a little research. Oh, you got a caller. Ask people to text. Oh, well, good morning. You're on AM Minnesota.
Yes, I live in Faribault, and I put a radon mitigation system in 1995, and we have crawl space in a couple areas. Our bedroom has the over crawl space, so you talk about spending time. So we had it tested in 94, it tested 16 picocuries, and after the radon mitigation system, about 4, which I think is the EPA recommended level.
Yeah, well, that's still high, isn't it, Dan?
I'm glad the caller brought that up. The EPA action level is 4 picocuries per liter. Picocuries per liter refers to the amount of radiation in air. And a reduction from 16 to 4 is good if you think about it. What's that, like a 75% reduction?
Yeah,
that's a reduction of risk that the individual and others are experiencing. We do recommend getting the level down to below 4 after a radon system is installed. Oftentimes the contractors can get it to well under 4.
So was it really expensive? I won't ask you to give me a specific number here, but was it expensive?
$1,500. We have several areas in crawl space, and it had been. I tested it in 08 for a whole year, and it was still 4. So it's working. It's been running 24/7. The fan pulling off of the cement slab at their house, and under the crawl space also.
Well, thanks for the call. I certainly do appreciate it. You have another question?
You're welcome. No, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Awesome call. Hey, thank you. How do you like that?
I love hearing stories of success where people are testing and fixing their homes. That's
Well,
great.
that 4 is right on the border though, right? So you gotta keep testing.
Yeah, that is the action level. The EPA, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, established that number back in the 1980s, and it's still been used across the country as the level above which people should take action.
Can you explain what a picocurie is?
It's a unit of radiation. It's named after Marie Curie, one of the scientists who researched radioactive elements. And that's the unit we use in the United States. Again, it's called picocuries per liter, liter meaning space of air, a little bit bigger than a softball. In other countries, they actually use a different unit. Of course, we use different units in this country for many things. But in Canada and other places, they use becquerels per meter cubed as the unit of radiation associated with radon.
Well, I plumb run out of time here. The show is too short today. Dan, thanks for coming down from the cities.
My pleasure, Gordy. Thanks for covering this topic.
Appreciate it very much. Maybe we can do this again next year. What do you think, Sarah?
I think that's great.
Yeah, so get those free, absolutely free radon test kits available here in Faribault and in Northfield. And
Yep.
the Northfield office is with City Hall, right?
Yep, second floor City Hall. There's a county satellite office there.
All right. And if you have any questions, you can call Sarah at the or at the Rice County Public Health Nursing Service. What's your number, Sarah?
332-6111.
332. Oh, that's easy to remember, too. 332-6111. That concludes today's edition of AM Minnesota on KDHL AM, Faribault, Minnesota.